There are 20 Zelda games and even more spin-offs, but how many Zelda games have gotten remade for other systems? I'm not planning to count, but there are a lot. But of those, are the remakes always better than the original? Well, today we're going to be deciding on things like quality, bonus content, and the system they're on. Just to be clear, this will mainly be based on my own opinion, and it's totally fine if you have a different one. Starting out chronologically, the original Link's Awakening came out on the Game Boy in 1993, and was then remade with color in 1998 on, well, the Game Boy Color, as Link's Awakening DX. And of course, the most recent remake was on the Switch in 2019, which was the first version I played. Coming in last is actually the Switch version, mainly because I just prefer retro games, but also because something about the music being re-synthesized just doesn't give me the feeling that this game was made 30 years ago. Don't get me wrong, I love the modern Zelda music, but hearing the 8-bit version is just, so good. Second place should come as no surprise. It's the original version for Game Boy. The game is basically the same as the DX version, but just, well, minus the DX, which of course puts Link's Awakening DX as number 1. The color adds a whole new layer to the game, and is an overall just better experience. Ocarina of Time was first released on N64 in 1998, and its remake on 3DS was released in 2011. They both have a lot of nostalgia surrounding them, mostly the N64 version, so I would say the original is winning there. But this is kind of my personal opinion because I was a handheld gamer first, but the 3DS version is better to play wherever, whenever. And finally, being released 13 years later, the 3DS version has better graphics. The bottom screen on 3DS is also very helpful because of things like quick inventory changes and being able to see which notes you need to play while having your ocarina out, as opposed to having to go into the inventory and check that way in the N64 version. Using the hookshot is also a lot easier on the 3DS version. With all that considered, I would say the 3DS version is better, but not by much. Majora's Mask was released on N64 as well, in the year 2000, and released as Majora's Mask 3D on 3DS in 2015. It's basically the same story, being visually enhanced, having the inventory and ocarina songs on the bottom screen, and overall easier gameplay. It's pretty much the exact same story on Ocarina of Time, meaning the 3DS version is better. Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda game, and the second one I beat, so it holds a very special place in my heart, making it hard to pick if the GameCube or Wii U version is better. The GameCube one still holds up today, even if you prefer modern graphics, making the HD version a bonus. The HD remake is slightly different, having less Triforce charge and the addition of a Swift Save. The Wii U gamepad has the same function as the bottom 3DS screen, helping to rearrange inventory and see the songs that you can play. The gamepad is also useful for playing not just on the big screen. I'll often find myself waking up in the morning, and instead of going over to my monitor, I'll just turn on my Wii U gamepad and use it to play in handheld mode. One downside to the HD remake is the removal of the Tingle Tuner, and its replacement, Tingle Bottles. Sadly enough, Tingle Bottles were only used with Miiverse, which Nintendo shut down in 2017. Because of the Wii U being my favorite console, I'm slightly biased, but with the addition of the Swift Sale, I think that the Wind Waker HD is better, but not by much. Twilight Princess is an outstanding game with an amazing story and beautiful art style. So, there are actually 3 different versions of Twilight Princess, being GameCube, Wii, and Switch. Wait, no, that's a script error. I wrote this part really late at night. I meant Wii U. Anyways, the Wii version comes in last place, mainly because it's entirely mirrored and flipped. I have personal trauma because I played this version first, and explored a sizable amount and memorized everything I could. Then when I went to the GameCube and Wii U versions, I was unable to recognize Auradon Village. The motion controls weren't the worst motion controls I've used, but not having a C-stick to change the view angle is a bit annoying. Second best, surprisingly, is actually Twilight Princess HD for Wii U. Graphics-wise, it's of course superior, having HD in the title and all, but even with that, and a whole bunch of other benefits, such as not being flipped, being able to play in handheld mode again, and having the inventory on the gamepad. Again, wow, these things are really reoccurring features on Wii U Zelda games. It's great in many ways, but it just doesn't have the nostalgia factor of the best Twilight Princess, the GameCube version. The reason I think that the GameCube version is the best is mostly because of the nostalgia factor. Something about taking out a small disc and opening up the GameCube, putting the disc in and then closing it, turning on my Wavebird, sitting back and watching the game load up. It's also great because, again, it isn't flipped, and has a C-stick. I just find this version a lot more enjoyable to play, and overall very nice. I also like the box art. The black GameCube game box makes it look really mature and dark compared to the Wii and Wii U versions. The teen rating is just bonus style points. It's the best version of Twilight Princess, even if it's not the best GameCube game. I would say the actual best Happy Feet for GameCube. Skyward Sword was released on the 25th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda series in 2011, and got an HD remaster 10 years later for the 35th anniversary in 2021. The original Skyward Sword was great, but the motion controls weren't quite there. It utilized the Wii Motion Plus add-on, or Wiimote Plus, to have immersive controls and made it feel like you were Link, which is something Twilight Princess Wii also did. It was great, but the HD version just outdid it. In the HD version, you are able to recalibrate your motion controls if they're not how you want them, which means that if you want to play upside down, you could. The enhanced graphics and amiibo compatibility are helpful, but don't make that big of a difference. I will have to say that the HD version is better. Breath of the Wild. Wait! Breath of the Wild doesn't have a remake? I don't know why it's on the list, but I guess I will talk about its two versions. Breath of the Wild is actually a funny story. So, its development started in 2011, immediately after Skyward Sword, and was meant to be a Wii U exclusive with the common one Zelda per console rule, which Nintendo didn't really follow, with many consoles having two, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, Breath of the Wild took 6 years to develop, finally being released in March of 2017, as a launch title for the Switch. It did still release on Wii U, but to my knowledge, it is one of the only two Zelda games to have been released as a launch title and also on its previous console. The other is Twilight Princess, being made and released on GameCube, but also being a launch title for the Wii. Tears of the Kingdom is actually supposed to be the one Zelda game for Switch, but because the development of Breath of the Wild took so long, we have the Hero of the Wild all in one place. As to which is better, the Wii U gamepad screen doesn't have the inventory or map like the other Wii U Zeldas, but the Wii U one is still better, just because it's on Wii U. I am very biased. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Looking back, it's a bit more of a game review, but they all are great games, remakes and all. So if you can, I'll play all the ones I mentioned. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to bed now. I'm really tired.